Hi beautiful, welcome back to my channel. As you guys can see, I've now set up a new setup where my mic is now directly in front of me, so we should be getting some better content. Today we're going to be reacting to a very heated debate about Piers Morgan, who there's a lot of controversy about Piers Morgan, but I do like him. Please forgive my phone. But thing is, roughly, this is a debate about trans athletes. Should they be competing in women's sports? I'm going to play a little bit of it, and then I'm going to start giving my opinion. And by the way, thank you for all your kind comments about my new content. Hope you enjoy. Let's get into the video.
Messi puts his hand up and says, actually, I'm feeling like a woman today. Do you play him in the American women's national team, Francesca? Yes or no?
Yes, right now. Hell yeah, are you kidding me?
They are useful idiots like you that are validating ascientific nonsense. There's no such thing as gender identity.
Esther, you're the only thing making anyone angry or incensed right now, so you're causing me a mental health issues.
Your guests sit here and they cry boo-hoo tears about trans rights, but then they dismiss Caitlyn Jenner.
Girl, don't you have a Beyonce album to get pissed off about?
Teenage runner Aidan Gallagher became the Oregon girls 200-meter state champion last week, posting one of the fastest times in the state's history with a remarkable display of power and stamina. But as Aidan crossed the finish line, something, well, pretty unusual happened. Instead of joyous cheering and adulation, many of the watching spectators loudly booed. Well, the same thing happened when Gallagher received a gold medal on the podium, but the runner-up was loudly cheered when she received her silver. And there's an explanation for all this. Gallagher is a transgender athlete who was born a biological male and therefore has a vastly superior physiology to show for it. And as viral video clips from the race show.
And if you look at this picture, look at the arms in comparison and the legs. This transgender, or should I say transsexual woman, got nothing against her, nobody has. But thing is, you can tell the difference in the arms and the legs. Obviously, she's got strength. She's been a bodybuilder before she even transitioned. And then to take that to a woman's sport, which in my opinion, I think trans women should have their own section in sports. I don't think you should be competing in women's sports, because I have mentioned it in a previous video where I talked about being an at-home carer. I've been told that I have a lot of strength in my arms, and I do, hopefully because I can move and handle hopefully with ease. I did get diagnosed with carpal tunnel syndrome, so that plays a part in that, but we do have an advantage being born men. And to compete in women's sports, one, it's degrading to that woman, hopefully to compete against a bloke. 1 second. And two, hopefully, imagine how they're feeling. This is why I want to do this debate, because it's going to get heated. And there's a gay guy on here. He's something else.
Gallagher towered over many of the competing girls, displaying greater height, power and speed.
But did you also notice as well, Wolfie, that they've booed this trans woman for competing in women's sports? And it's exactly right, Wolfie. You can tell with the way the muscles are compared to the woman standing next to this transgender woman. It's so wrong.
Frankly made a mockery of any pretense to fairness or equality. The reaction of the crowd is a small moment in the grand scheme of things, but it might prove to be extremely significant. A couple of years ago, it would have been very different. This would have been hailed as the latest progressive symbolic victory for inclusivity and tolerance. But now mainstream opinion is finally waking up to what is honestly insane.
Do you hear that, Wolfley? A lot of people are waking up to the insane stuff, Wolfley, because it is in fact the trans community that are setting these standards, and because they're setting these standards, Wolfley, people are fighting back and taking back the rights. You'll see in this debate, because I have seen it, Wolfley, but I'm doing a complete reaction and a talk about it, that the two people in this debate that are for trans people, Wolfley, going into women's sports, how they ask for respect but don't give it to the actual women that are on this panel. So take that with a grain of salt.
World Athletics has banned trans athletes who've been through male puberty from competing against women. But the state-level bureaucrats are miles behind the Oregon authorities, so they define a woman based on their consistently asserted gender identity. But honestly...
No, Wolfley. There are trans women, and we should have our own section. A woman is a woman, a biological woman, that can conceive children. I know there are women that can't conceive children, but they get periods and they have ovaries. That's a woman. A trans woman is a completely different story. So, here we go.
That's just disingenuous bullshit. Yes, trans people deserve the same rights and respect as everybody else. They should have fairness and equality.
Exactly. This is why I like Piers Morgan, because he speaks the truth. But I'm going to also add to this. We want diversity and acceptance. We've already got that. It's still a little ways behind because of all this new stuff that's coming out, you know, about different gender identities. Apparently there's over 150 gender identities. Did you know that? But thing is, we want that. But thing is, the real transsexuals don't want to take anything away. We just want to be basically equaled out. Whereas the new generation of trans people are trying to erase everything, including women, the word woman. They want to erase it. So there's a lot to be said about it.
You have the same human rights as me.
Yep.
But you can't consistently assert the massive physical differences that come from being born male or female and compete in sport.
It's so true. It is so true. You won't think that I have muscles. I don't have a lot, but I do have a lot of power and strength over my sisters and stuff. So I do see where he's coming from.
Those rights cannot come at the expense of women's rights to fairness and equality in their own sport. Now, for years, anyone prepared to speak up about this, like me, was instantly shamed and vilified as a transphobe. But the reaction of the crowd in Oregon, which is actually...
It's not transphobic. Everybody is allowed an opinion. And when it's bringing the trans community its rights, the new generation now are trying to take away women's rights. And it's kind of hard to take away someone's rights when you are, in one sense, trying to replicate that person's life to be a woman, lovely, or even well, you don't really hear many debates about trans men, but there are a few out there that are basically backfiring about all this that's going off. But you get what I mean.
Skews more liberal than conservative, shows the silent majority might finally be fighting back and letting their feelings be heard loud and clear. Well, joining me to debate this and more, our comedian and podcaster James Barr.
This is the guy. Wolfley, he's a gay guy. Got nothing against gay people, but thing is, Wolfley, wait till you hear what he has to say. He's done other debates and including over 150 gender identities, and he didn't even know what he was talking about.
Uncensored contributor Esther Kraken, Outkick host Tommy Laren, and the host of the Bituation Room podcast, Francesca Fiorentini. So welcome to all of you. Tommy, let me start with you. I watched the video of this as a father of a 12-year-old girl who loves a bit of sport, and honestly my heart just sank. But when I heard the booing, I was thrilled, not because the athlete was being booed. I felt awful for the trans athlete, but because
And for people to say, roughly, that Piers Morgan doesn't support the LGBT community, especially the trans community, he does. It's right here. He does roughly care about the trans community, but what he doesn't care about is, you know, the other stuff, you know, where people are like, oh, there's over 150 gender identities, and then is it non-binary trying to come into the trans community? And technically for me, roughly, and I know there's some people out there, non-binary does not enter the category of trans because you don't identify as either male or female. So how can it come under that umbrella? And you're going to hear a lot more.
Finally felt that the silent majority were finding their voice. What did you think?
Yeah, I also think that it's big that this happened in a place like Oregon. Oregon is not conservative, maybe certain parts, but certainly the majority of Oregon is certainly more on the left side. So I think the fact that the crowd is saying, hey, this is unacceptable, that's a big moment. But we just have to stop denying this, Piers. I mean, the silent majority, and I would agree that the majority, actually, the more vocal majority now, is saying that this is absolutely ludicrous. And listen, I think we need to stop talking about biological men competing against biological women in women's sports. This is a trans person, a trans woman competing against actual women. Stop dismissing women by calling us biological women. We are just women. So I want to...
All cis women, roughly, they are just women, roughly. I'm guilty of saying biological women, but that's me just making a statement that these are actual women and we shouldn't be taking away their rights, just to clarify.
Put that out there first.
Yeah, I agree.
Why are we constantly, and when I say we, why is popular culture constantly asserting that trans people, their feelings, their emotions, their inclusion is more important than the majority of women who just want to have fairness, want to compete, want to have achievements, accomplishments, and opportunities? Why do their feelings matter more than the feelings of the...
Everyone's feelings matters, especially women's. Let's not forget, roughly in the olden days where women didn't have the rights to vote, and it was the suffragettes roughly that took over and said, you know what, enough is enough, we deserve the rights to vote. Women have literally come a long way to get what they need in life, roughly, for things to be equalled out. There's still a bit probably of a ways to go, but the thing is, to have women's rights taken away, not right at all.
Women that they're competing against. It's ridiculous. We keep coddling and kowtowing to this madness. I hope we're seeing the end of it, and I think within the next couple of years we will.
Yeah, I mean, I'm amazed that every woman, frankly, doesn't agree with you because the unfairness and inequality is so obvious. But Francesca, I can see you actually you know, going berserk here with indignation. So presumably you don't agree.
I mean, please don't speak for me. You know what I'm saying? Like, either of you, please don't.
But yeah, roughly you were doing this. Doing the basically talk. And now you're saying, please don't talk for me. But thing is, you're on this basically heated debate. And you're saying, oh, don't speak for me. But you're making your facial expressions known.
Don't speak for me. Please don't speak for all women. Just let's get that out of the way right now, because I do disagree. I think about, what if your 12-year-old kid was Aiden? Wouldn't that...
Sorry, I didn't know there was...
That'd be incredible. Wouldn't you be proud of Aiden?
No.
No. No offence, roughly. Why all of a sudden has a debate gone from transgendered women to now trans kids? And this is where subjects go off the road, roughly, and this is why people are... I mean, look at this woman right here. She's like literally in shock, roughly, the fact that this woman's brought up kids in a debate that has to do with adults. This is how you know, roughly, that the community is trying to bring more children into the matter. Trans kids do not exist. Did I know something was wrong when I was younger? Yep, I knew I was different. My family knew I was different. But the thing is, I could barely make a decision about what to eat for lunch, let alone gender. As I grew up, roughly, that's where it took off. Roughly, I knew this was the path down for me to take. But thing is, I don't want to take anyone's rights, because it's all right, roughly, asking for your own rights and to be respected. But when you're being disrespectful to people that are openly allowing you to basically join them, and then to say no, you're transphobic and that lot. This is why people are backfiring at people.
No.
How much would it?
No, absolutely not. Unless that child had not even reached puberty,
exactly.
and in the case of my daughter, for example, and someone is trying to convince her that if you just put your hand up and say that you're a boy, you can suddenly compete against a different biological sex. I'd say it's all madness.
And this is the thing. This is going to be a long debate, by the way. But the thing is, this is the thing about, trans kids, is a lot of them have been misdiagnosed. There's a lot of misinformation out there, roughly, that, hormones are reversible. They're not. When you sign that piece of paper, this is why, roughly, I have a problem with the US. I know it's changing now. But you used to be able to go to the doctors and just say, give them a bunch of information about how you feel. And that instead of going through an entire psychological examination, roughly, and knowing what, going through the entire thing for a couple of years before you get where you need to be, just like it is in the UK. It's so much easier in the US, and now roughly that's changed. People are not happy, but the thing is, it had to happen because kids can barely make up their minds about what they want for the tea, or should say dinner, let alone gender.
Piers, this is what's crazy about it. Do you think that that's what's driving trans women to compete as athletes, is that they're like, if I transition to become a woman, I can win a gold medal in a high school track and meet competition.
Hang on, Francesca. I don't care.
That is so absurd to me.
I
It's
don't
the
care.
same thing. Hang on, let me
Francesca,
speak.
I don't care. The reality is they're doing it.
She does have a point there. Roughly, trans people, especially trans women, we don't transition roughly to do that. We transition to be a little bit more happier in life, and who we are roughly is to match the inner with the outer. But when that's taking away someone else's rights, that's a different story.
Is right, and the point is that to me, the answer is obvious.
They're not doing it to win a medal. They're doing it because that is their identity.
But they're winning medals at the expense of actual.
There's a difference between gender identity and biological sex.
Women who can't compete with them physically.
Okay.
It's why we separate the sexes.
You know what? Like, I actually googled this.
Hang on. I come to you too.
I'm embarrassed to be a woman when I see women freaking out about trans women winning one out of so many competitions.
It's not just one.
Okay.
It's happening in swimming with Leah Thomas.
Hang on.
It's happening in all sorts of.
Yeah, that thing with Leah Thomas. She's like, I think she's about 6 foot something. And she went into the women's bathroom where children were in there as well. And she hasn't had reassignment surgery, and because she was getting changed, she had everything loose. So no, I don't agree with that. Roughly, in my opinion, it's not very nice. If that should become a problem, do yourself a favour. Go into the disabled toilets where there's a lock on it, roughly, and you can quickly get changed, because it's so uncomfortable and it is so wrong for kids, let alone women, to be seeing that. It's not right.
Sports.
Yes, because it makes us look really pathetic, honestly. It makes us look like losers and whiners, and guess what? I'm not a loser or a whiner. You know what I actually want to talk about when it comes to women's sports? Why is Caitlin Clark being paid 80 times less than her counterpart entering the NBA?
Well, that's
because
quite straightforward too.
Because nobody watches
Women
it.
don't want to talk about that.
Hold on. Can I ask you a
Women don't
question?
want to ever
Hold on,
talk about
Francesca.
that.
Let me ask you a question. If I hit you over the head with a bat and I said the plan wasn't to kill you, it's because you had a fly in your head, would you still not go to the police for assault? Does my intention matter?
And this is why roughly this is a debate, because apparently a trans woman competed in a boxing match, and she, if I remember rightly, she actually damaged someone's skull. So to say roughly that trans women, oh, I was standing on my mic, trans women roughly do not have strength behind it, their arms and stuff. They do roughly, and they can cause serious damage, and there was damage, and this woman right here, she will be talking about it, and I say good for you roughly getting this point to this woman, because she's not listening. And the problem is, when you raise your voice too much, you know you lost the debate.
Because that's exactly what you just said. That's exactly what you said. Just because trans people are not identifying as trans to basically erode women's sports, that makes it okay. That's exactly what they're doing. This is
You think that's what they're doing?
Let me finish. You know what the issue is. 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 There are useful idiots like you that are validating ascientific nonsense. There's no such thing as gender identity. Being trans identifying is a mental illness, a reality.
It is a mental illness. People hate that word, and I used to hate that word, and I'm going to hold my hand up and used to say I used to hate when people used to call me mentally ill. But you got to think of it as this, roughly. It is classed as a mental illness, roughly, because you are putting your body through, in one sense, torture, and you don't know the repercussions of it. We don't know if this is 100% safe, but you sign that document roughly knowing that something could happen, and that goes for the surgery as well. And it was actually under the Mental Illness Act to be trans. People used to be put in asylums and stuff, and it was under the Mental Illness Act. And they found it was too demeaning and hurtful to say that people's mentally ill. But thing is, I think we need to be okay with just having a little bit of mental illness, because there's a lot that comes into gender identity or gender dysphoria, including anxiety, depression. So take that on account.
That exists only in your head should not be validated, and specifically not at the expense of people that are just going about their business trying to win sporting tournaments or trying to use
There's useful idiots like you that are leading to the death of trans people. Because guaranteed,
all right, let Francesca respond.
And you can basically go to an island where all women think like you, and you can compete with all the biological men you want, but do not impose your backward views on the rest of us and have the audacity to call us regressive.
Okay.
Exactly, I do agree with that, roughly. It's all right, roughly, to say this kind of thing, but when you are basically trying to speak for all women, and this woman right here, she's trying to speak for all women, but not all women at the same time. But thing is, not everybody feels the same, and it's okay. Everyone's entitled to their opinion, and you know what, roughly, it's going to get more heated, there's going to be more talking over each other, but thing is, she has a valid point. Roughly, you cannot sit there and say, roughly, that you share a bathroom, roughly, with a biological man and stuff, and then in the same sentence, roughly say, oh, I want him competing in the sports, when you've got an actual competitor in sports, a woman, a real woman, who roughly competed in the sports, and a trans woman won over her. So yeah, it's not nice.
Okay. Francesca, you respond. I'll come to James.
My response is this. Look, I care more about human life and people actually. I care about the right to privacy. I care about people surviving. And
if you care about the rights of privacy, then why is it you're not talking about roughly Leah Thomas when she was in the bathroom undressing and her penis was out in front of a child and a woman? Think of how roughly they felt.
Living in this world. Yes, I do.
You don't seem to care about the right to privacy of biological women not wanting to share their spaces with biological men. What about them?
She's just been called out. Plus, I just called her out as well. Love it.
What about the number of trans youth who commit suicide every single year?
here we are with the trans youth, the transgender children. Right, I'm going to wait till it gets to 30 minutes, then end this, and then we'll do a part 2. Okay, because this is going to be a bit long-winded. But the thing is, see how roughly we're in a debate about trans women, and she's like, what about the children? What about the children? Leave the kids alone. This isn't a debate about transgender children competing in sports. This is about biological men, aka trans women, competing in women's sports and getting praised for it when we should technically have our own category.
About biological women not wanting to share a bathroom with a biological man. Talk about that. Don't do what about, answer that question. What about them? Do they not matter?
Look, lady, you can go into every bathroom and pick a fight with every person who you think is in the wrong bathroom. That's your prerogative.
If a man goes into a bathroom with my daughter,
a teenager,
what should I do?
A teenager being booed. Guys, let's not bully.
And yet, Waffly, she didn't answer that question. What is this woman supposed to do if she's a biological man? And there's actually a video that I want to do. No, actually, there's 2 where I reacted to her the other day. Just 1 second. She went into a bathroom and a kid was staring at her. Like nothing was wrong.
This father decided.
Excuse me. Lily Talina. She went into a bathroom and just stood there and made people uncomfortable. Even though Waffly, she just wanted to go to the toilet. But the thing is, do yourself a favour. Go to a disabled toilet or just quickly go to the men's toilet. It's fine. Believe it or not, I know plenty of women that have gone into a men's toilet because the queue for the women's toilets are ridiculously long.
Okay, I believe it was Melania Trump who said, be best. And we know what bullying leads to. Stephen Miller,
you know what
bullying, it is. Okay, but fantastic. I'm going to come to James, but because to me there's conflating 2 issues. You can absolutely support trans rights to fairness and equality, as I do and consistently have, but you can also see that there is obviously a massive problem now increasing now in women's sport, and there's a reason, and we've had this conversation, James, but you gave a preposterous answer last time. There's a reason we separate sexes in the Olympics, in the World Championships, because otherwise women would never win anything.
Look, I think
so that's why we do it. It's not because women aren't great athletes.
Women would never
They're great
win
athletes
anything.
when competing
What a quote
against people physically born
Listen,
like
I
that.
have so much to say. I want to explode. Firstly, Esther, you're the only thing making anyone angry or incensed right now. So you're causing me a mental health issue. So really.
Do you notice roughly how Waffly is asking for respect for the trans community as a gay man, but then has just disrespected a woman, saying that you're giving me mental illness for speaking out. This woman has a right to speak out, Waffly. Calm your ass down.
Really, if there's a mental illness, it's actually you. I would like to take a pill to remove you from my life. Going back to the state here, like.
My darling, if you don't take action on your singing dreams and start making those dreams come true in 2025...
Most of the female winners in this sport, they are hitting around 22 to 24 seconds, which is exactly what the gold medalist won here. And then also following up with what you said.
What's your point? What's your
point? The point is, this is normal for a woman.
No,
this is a normal speed for a woman in a race. But let's get back to what you're saying. You're talking about...
See this, Waffly, see how his voice is getting higher and higher because he thinks by raising his voice that he's going to get his point across. But thing is, all you sound like is an abuser, Waffly, that you don't care about other people's rights. But when it comes to LGBT rights, you'll make yourself very vocal. And the difference is, Waffly, he's gone off onto a complete other subject. Okay. And it's extremely funny because everybody's like, whoa, 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 whoa. First off, take a break. And he's like, no, you're giving me anxiety. Waffly, I'm going to take a pill to erase you from my mind. Nobody's trying to erase anybody. Everybody's just trying to have a nice debate. And it's now become this entire other thing.
Hang on,
safety in changing rooms. Let me finish, please.
On that
You're
point,
talking about...
The fact he literally shouted at Piers like, let me speak, I'm telling you. He does realise whose show it is. It's not this guy's. It's the Piers Morgan show. And the difference is, Waffly, there's a lot to uncover, but the thing is, the amount of disrespect he's showing, but then he wants that respect back. You have to give to gain respect.
Women's safety in changing rooms. That's what Esther brought this conversation down to. But what I do know about...
And there it is. You are not a woman. You cannot talk about these rights. Right, we're on 30 minutes. Thanks for watching part 1. We're now going to go on to part 2. Bye.